Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Good In, a positive movie review channel where we like to look at the good in all movies. I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you went to go see some good movies, because I sure did. I just went to see The Backrooms, so let's take a look at the good in it. Alright, so for anyone unfamiliar, The Backrooms started as an internet horror concept and eventually evolved into games, stories, and one of the most popular pieces of online horror in recent years. The idea is simple. You accidentally no clip out of reality and end up trapped in an endless maze of empty, yellow tinted rooms that seem to stretch on forever. The Backrooms movie follows Clark, a man who finds himself trapped inside the backrooms after a traumatic event. As he searches for a way out, he's forced to navigate not only the strange and shifting environment around him, but also the psychological toll it begins to take on him. What starts as a survival story quickly becomes something much more personal and psychological. So, we're going to switch things up a little bit here. Just going to try something new. This movie, very interesting. It's probably going to end up being a pretty short video because it's kind of hard to even explain what I watched, all right? Once again, I went with a couple friends. There was a group of us. We all left and had to almost debrief, all right? We almost had to take a second and just be like, what was that, all right? What did we even watch here? Okay, so I gotta let you know, this is very much a psychological horror movie. All right, it doesn't necessarily rely on the jump scares and the loud noises. There are a couple good jump scares, quite a bit actually. I don't think I jumped at all, but that's probably just because I'm built a little different. But no, it's very much so a psychological horror movie. It could potentially get under your skin in ways other horror movies aren't going to. First, the Backrooms, the game, the movie, both, they deal with the concept of liminal space, which is a place or a state of transition. Physically, it describes areas meant for passing through, like empty hallways, airports, or stairwells. Settings that convey the unsettling, dreamlike, or nostalgia feeling because they're stripped of their usual human activity. So, the whole idea behind the Backrooms is that it doesn't really look scary. It doesn't actually look weird and creepy and scary. It's just off. It's just a little unsettling. The environment it looks familiar but empty. Places like nostalgic but just wrong or off. They also just, cuz it's kind of like a maze or just a big labyrinth, sometimes changing too. So they really play on that like feeling of being lost. Like when you're separated from family or just in a strange new environment or just feeling trapped. It gives me the same kind of vibes as like when you have a dream where you're lost or something like that and you're just freaking out. All right, so I want to dive in here on our main character, Clark, and his psychology, his mental state, because that ends up being a big part of the movie, a big reason behind the Backrooms, how they work, why they are doing the things we're seeing them do, and some of the creatures or whatever that's in there. All kind of come from, are created from Clark's mental state or his psychology. So there is some sort of relationship here between his mental state and the Backrooms themselves. So, the Backrooms, it doesn't even feel like a place as much as like an extension of Clark's mind at the time, at the moment. So you see, like, the Backrooms aren't just physically trapping him here, they're almost like an extension of him. They're reflecting him in a way. But why? Why am I saying, how does this make any sense? And like I said, very confusing. But essentially, the Backrooms use the memories of who enters it. So Clark goes in there, and it's almost like his memories are then uploaded to the Backrooms. And the Backrooms will then start creating more rooms and hallways and sections based off of Clark's memories. So that's where you start seeing these weird everything. Sometimes they're creatures or entities, sometimes it's just the way it's built. That's why you see that it's not a normal building. Clark himself, who's an architect, says after walking through there and coming back out and then talking to his therapist Mary, he says it's like a building built by contractors who are all high or who have no idea what they're doing, right? You see random doorways, random stairwells, random turns and ledges that just don't make sense. They're just weird, and that's what I'm saying. It plays off just the unsettling, kind of the uncanny valley, where you know what you're looking at, but at the same time, it's just not right. Something's a little off about it. And so we see even some like people in there, but they're almost like the early versions of like what AI would make a person. You know, their fingers are just a little off, or they got a couple more eyes or whatever, because it's not a person. It's not this person. It's a memory of a memory. Right. It's very weird, very strange concept, but it was well done. I mean, I understood it. I kind of like I've said with The Mandalorian, I'm a fan. I'm just not, I don't know it all. I don't know all the lore and all the different interpretations and everything. I've played a couple of the games. I've seen a lot of gameplay of them. But it was enough for me. I got it. I understood what was going on. I think it was well done. Confusing. I mean, you got to be in it. Got to be paying attention. Just another little thing it plays on. Something we've all felt. You know, like I was saying, we've all felt lost. We've all not known exactly where we are, and just that strange feeling that can come with it. But another thing is just the loss of control. And I think it could have been one of like the strongest themes in the movie, just because we all like to think I'm in control. Okay, right? I'm in control of my life. I know where I'm going. I understand what my life is. I'm the captain. I'm steering the ship, right? But Clark eventually starts to lose all of that. More than just, he's losing his sense of direction. He's getting deeper and deeper, but it's more than just that. He's slowly starting to also lose control of himself, of his mind, of his grasp of reality even. The Backrooms does a good job of stripping away any reference point, any real thing you can kind of stay anchored to. It is a place where I'm not surprised Clark lost his mind. It's easy to see why he would lose his mind in there. Why anybody being lost in there would lose their mind, because you don't know what's real, what's not real, what's in your head, what's in the back rooms, if there's a difference. It shows Clark later kind of surviving in there, finds a little room that's kind of like a kitchen, living room area, homey, I guess, as homey as you can get there, I guess. Finds a little fridge. There's a couple people, but they're not people. That's just the thing. It's like a copy of a copy. It's a memory of a memory. It's what the back rooms thinks this person looks like based off of a memory. Right. Very confusing, very weird. But that's just what I'm saying. His grasp of his what's grounding him. He's got a couple people here he's living with, but they're not people, and they're freaky looking. They're weird. It's so weird. As I said, like as the time goes on, there's no map. There's no people. There's just no sense of anything. And then that drives Clark to kind of confront himself, but somewhat literally. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're familiar with the Backrooms, if you've played some of the games, there's various entities running around. The game's usually full of just these. It's different per game, per interpretation, but they usually stalk, chase you, kill you, and some there's a wide variety of what kind of creatures you see sometimes. And when we first see whatever creature that's in the movie that's killing some of these characters, that's obviously in pursuit of these characters, we kind of assume that it's one of these entities like that we've seen in the past. But then, as the story progresses, we see it's not one of these normal entities, it's Clark. Or, at least some twisted, weird version of himself. And, whether it's like a manifestation of him at his psyche at the moment, or if it's a Backrooms copy of him, or once again, if there's not really a difference there. I think what matters most in this kind of interpretation, or like what they did, what they were going for, is that it's not just a weird entity, scary, spooky, evil entity trying to get you. This kind of made it deeply personal because, like I said, it is him. It is quite literally a distorted, weird version of himself. He works at a furniture store, and kind of their mascot, I guess, is a pirate. And he, films like a cheesy commercial for this big, his furniture store. And he plays a part of Captain Clark, where he's dressed like a pirate. He's got a wooden leg, just for this like cheesy, campy commercial. But that ends up being the entity. And now I don't know if there were multiple. So, some of the people I went and saw this with, they thought maybe there was. So, there's two other characters we see that worked at the furniture store there with him, Bobby, and I believe her name was Kat. But we see, like, something gets Bobby. We don't really see the creature that gets him, but he gets pulled through a little door. Real creepy scene for sure. And some people think that that's a different entity, and it very well could be. I'm not sure. One thing I did notice was his therapist, Mary, when they run into each other in the back rooms, basically. Mary goes in there after Clark, and she runs into a corner that has a wall with paintings on it, and there's a painting of the entity, like, scribbled on there. And it's all in black. It's hard to tell what really you're looking at. I thought I saw something on his head, like a pirate hat, which the final entity, this Captain Clark, is wearing one. So I kind of assumed it's the same thing. It's the same entity running around back there. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. But now, even though, like I just said, there is this Captain Clark, this evil pirate, running around back there, and we know for sure it's killing some people. That's kind of how Clark met his end, was through his own self, this Captain Clark. But so we do know he is dangerous. I mean, he was in pursuit of the therapist, Mary. Did end a little weird. Ended the vibes I got from her escaping through the little crack there, and Captain Clark not being able to fit in there. But it was different. It didn't look like he was in pursuit. It looked like he was scared. It looked like he was trying to escape as well. And it also looked like she knew that. She kind of settled down. She was trying to escape. And then she kind of sees this, settles down, looks at him, and just kind of walks away then. So, there's just more there, more to that. But even though you have this Captain Clark, who's obviously dangerous, running around, hurting these, characters, I think at the same time, it's not your normal horror movie where the monster is the problem. I think the Backrooms kind of suggested something a little different. I think it was asking, especially with our main character, Clark, we see him slowly spiral. We do. We see, in the beginning of the movie, he's already needing therapy, and he kind of snaps a little even. He's obviously got anger issues. There's a lot there. I think, and obviously, as he's in the Backrooms longer, his mental state starts, wearing more and more. But I think it kind of asks, is it the Backrooms doing that? Is it the Backrooms that are, breaking him down? Or are the Backrooms just forcing him to face these things head on? You know what I'm saying? Force himself to look into, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I need to switch things up here. Maybe, I'm the danger. What I appreciated the most out of the Backrooms is it's just different. It's been around for a bit. We've seen a lot of the games and the movies and all this, but it's not your normal horror film. It's not just your, there's a killer running around, or there's ghosts, or whatever it may be, just playing on the jump scares, the loud noises out of nowhere. It wasn't just the horror, it was just the psychology of it all. I think when it comes to me and just my personal opinion of horror movies, I like them all. I'm a fan of a lot. I'm a fan of a good jump scare. You know, it's always fun getting a little scared, getting a little spooked in the theater. But I think anybody can do that. I think anybody can play a loud noise and show something quick. You know what I mean? I think anybody can make you jump. It takes a lot more. It takes a lot of work and a lot of brain power to make something that's going to stick with you. You know what I mean? I rather, instead of go to a movie and get jump scared and then leave, I want something that's going to keep me up at night. I want something that, oh man, I got to turn the lights off and get in my room. Oh man, that's what I want. I want something that's going to stick with me, make you think a little bit, and that did it for me. There were a couple scenes, you know, and like I said, this is just me now, and I am a little. There are a little weird things. Sometimes I'll see something that just gives me the heebie-jeebies, and someone's like, dude, what the heck? Like that's what got you? You know what I mean? This giant monster running around, you're fine, but that weird thing? So, like, for example, the whole Christmas tree scene, Christmas room, the entire thing, no, man, freaked me out. Don't like it. I can't even explain why, but he's running, goes in this room, he's being chased by an entity, he runs, gets in this room, closes the door behind him, and there's like just creepy music, turns around, it's just an open room with a Christmas tree in the middle, but it's all dark. Everything's dark, and the Christmas tree is the only light that's there, and it's just all red. Just a red glow. Just seeing that. And then there's more creepy stuff that happens that I'll let you know here in a second. But just that, spooky. It's just spooking me out already. I'm like, no. If that was me, before I see anything else in that room, I go in the Christmas tree room, look at my environment, I'd probably leave. I'd probably take my chances fighting the entity than chilling in that room just because it's spooky looking. And then he goes over kind of by the tree, and you see a figure in the darkness. And once again, spooked. I'm spooked. I don't like it. Absolutely not. And then this figure, he's asking hello. I'm assuming it's like a mannequin. It doesn't even look like an actual person. And then it pulls a string, turns a lamp on, and it's just a weird, distorted memory of a memory. So not even a real person. Weird, bad photocopy of this guy in a wheelchair playing with this lamp. It turns on. I'm freaked. And then this weird, freaky, twisted up lady, once again, weird face, all this, comes around from the tree. Absolutely not, man. I mean, that got me. That's what I'm saying. That wasn't even so much of a jump scare as just freaky, creepy. I mean, I would have freaked out. He runs away. I would have pounced on that thing, man. I wouldn't have even had a choice. I would have been screaming. I'd be freaked. Another great scene like that. This one is one of the ones where, like, you probably watch this and you're like, what? Like, that's just weird. It just gave me the goosebumps. It made my hair stand up for whatever reason. When he's in that kitchen area, kind of homier room, whatever, he has his therapist there. He, like I said, kind of loses his mind. They run into each other in the back rooms. He chokes her out and goes and ties her up to a chair in this little kitchen or whatever. And he's explaining to her these copies of these people. And he says, like, one of the best parts is they don't feel pain. And he just goes over and slowly slides a knife in this guy's neck. And he's just sitting there. He's just fine because he's not a real person. Sure, whatever. Freaky, man. And then he says, the best part is you can eat them. What? And he goes and he just, it's like soft. It's like they're made of cake. He just goes and grabs it looks like a spongy, squishy vanilla cake. But instead of frosting, it's skin. Disgusting. He just slaps it on its plate, on the therapist's plate. That's what I'm saying. That's just giving me the heebie-jeebies, man. That's just making me go. It's just unsettling. That right there, that's a perfect word for this movie. Not more than scary, more than freaky, more than the jump scares and the, it's not going to make you close your eyes and, hide and all this, but it's just unsettling. It makes you unnerved. It makes you just just feel off. You know what I mean? And that's what the Backrooms is, man. I mean, that's what I think they did great. I think the whole movie looked like the Backrooms. I mean, just like the games. And then they had a good chunk of the movie there where it was all very found footage. They, and it's based in the 90s, so they have this 80s or 90s camera. And I thought it was great. It was so good. I started to get a little headache from it in the best way. I was getting a little motion sickness from this just because it felt real. It felt like we were running through the rooms and sliding down the hallways and all this stuff. I think my last point, I would be remiss if I did not say that our main character, Clark, he's got a hard name, man. All right, he's got a hard name to say. Chiwetel Ejiofor. Let me see. Nah, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Pretty sure that, whatever. He was phenomenal. He was great. I have seen him in I don't even know. I think he was in one of the Doctor Strange movies. If so, I think that's all I had seen him in. But, man, I thought he was just a great actor. Something I've always said when I was in school, something I remember picking up early was... something that does kind of grind my gears every now and then is when you have a nice long monologue scene. Just our main character saying whatever, and it is perfect. And it is just line for line, even if it's well acted. Even if they say it right, they're acting perfectly. But that's not how we talk. That's not how like I've said, I have a little script here. I try and script this out, and that's not how you talk. I mean, I've always said that I think one thing that could really just take your acting up a notch is throw in a little mistakes. Throw in a little imperfections, because that's how you talk. I think when you're reading a monologue, you don't want it to seem like that's a guy who memorized this entire monologue and is now delivering it. No. You want someone who's talking normal, who's thinking about this, even though they're not, even though they have a script and they memorize their line. That's not what the character's doing. The character is talking off the spot. I think that was just a small detail that he nailed. I just thought he was a great actor, a great performance in this. There was a scene where, just another thing like that, you can just throw in these little imperfections that take it up to the next level. He was talking to his therapist and started telling a story. I don't even know what he was saying. He said something along, and he did what I'm doing right now. He said he was saying something and said, never mind, doesn't matter. And then blah, 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 gets back into it. That's what I'm saying. It just felt like I was there talking to a guy going through it. Like, it didn't seem like a performance. I just thought that was great. Had to say that. Had to throw that out there. I think that's about all I got. I gotta let you know, this movie is not going to be for everybody, right? It's slow, it's weird, it's uncomfortable, but I think those reasons could be the same reasons why it worked, right? It's just more personal, what you're into. If you want the high octane, if you want the thriller, that's not really what this is. It, like I said, more psychological, more of a deep dive, more of a thinker. But I thought it was great. I thought they did that perfect. I thought if you're going in for a deep dive, a psychological, this is it. I mean, they did it very well. I think if I had to give it an official rating, an official just rating as the movie is, I'd probably give it a 7. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I think it'd be a 7 out of 10. If I had to give it a good score, that's a little harder, but I'd say it probably bumps it up to an 8. Just because, like I said, it keeps you on your toes, makes you have to pay attention. You gotta just really be there and to understand what's going on. But I think it gets a couple points. You know what? I'll take it to an 8.5. Official score, 8.5. Only because how well it transferred over from the games. I feel like it is exactly like a Backrooms game, ripped just from the games, and at the same time put their own little twist on it, their own little interpretation of it. So, I mean, I think that's perfect. I think that's exactly what you want. I think you want something that you're familiar with. You want something you can go in knowing a little of what to expect, but at the same time, you got to stay on your toes, because who knows? I mean, who knows? They're going to do their own little twist, their own little thing, and I think they balance that well. So I'd give it a 7 out of 10 as the movie sits, but I'd say an 8.5 for the good scale. I think, a lot of good in there. It was fun. It was good. It was freaky. It was creepy. It stuck with me. I liked it. I think that's all we got. Like I said, gonna be a little shorter of a video. I mean, just for the simple fact of I left going. So one of my buddies said, like, dude, what are you even gonna talk about? Like, what did we even just see? And yeah, no, it was very, I don't know, it's very much its own thing. I haven't seen, besides the Backrooms stuff, you haven't seen anything like this. So definitely worth a check out, man. I mean, I want to rewatch it for sure. I'm sure there's a lot of things I missed. This is one of those things, I'm sure there's a good amount of like Easter eggs and stuff like that in there too, just because of all the Backrooms lore. Yeah, I think that's all I got. So thank you for checking out this new movie Monday. And Thursday, still figuring out what movie I want it to be, because I'm bouncing around a bunch. I got a lot of good ideas I just want to do, a lot of good movies I want to cover, but like I said, I actually have a good amount of recommendations, and if it's recommended, it will be on the channel. So let me know what you want. Put it in the comments, comment on my other stuff. Check out The Good Inn on TikTok and Instagram. We're posting more stuff there now. Got some stuff cooking there. So yeah, check us out there, but I think that's all I got, man. So have a good rest of your week. I'll see you Thursday for Throwback Thursday. Yeah, I think that's it. So Christ is King. God bless you, and have a good one.